What's going on? Satoshi's mom here. I am here with the absolute legend who honestly doesn't even need an introduction. I'm stoked to be on here today with Ovi Farouk, also known as OSF, also known as the guy who literally sold the top of Bored Apes, absolute legend, also known as the founder of Rekt Guy and Rekt Brands, which I'm stoked to chat about here today. I've got my Rekt liquidated lime. And luckily, I haven't been liquidated because I haven't been trading over the last few days. I figured there might be some volatility, but I'm ready to get this liquidated lime flowing. Obi, appreciate you coming through, man.
There we go. Got one too. Cheers.
Nice. Cheers, bro. Oh,
Yeah, dude. Yeah, yeah. It's good to be here, man. Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure.
Man. Yeah, I'm stoked to have you on, man. Dude, by the way, I just want to say this is very tasty. I have been saving them. I tried one at the NFT NYC event. Like we were just saying, I actually picked this up at the Schiller event. Shout out to Schiller, Fungi, Bernardo, Buna, everybody over there. And I grabbed a few. I had one there that day, but having it right now, I'm just reminiscing on this taste now. It's fucking amazing. Very tasty.
I'm glad you like it. We're actually changing the recipe for the ones we're mass producing because this one's got a little bit too much sugar in, I would say, and I guess people are kind of health conscious and stuff these days. So we've dialed down the sugar.
11G.
Yeah,
not too bad.
11 grams. Yeah, not too bad. But we've dialed it down, so I think it's down to like 5 now.
Oh
and
shit!
It tastes pretty similar, so it's still
nice.
Still good.
Are you guys doing like a sugar alcohol type thing, or like, because I see 0 added sugars, which I fucking love. Like I'm down to consume sugar when, you know, the science shit, and I'll turn straight to carbs or whatever. But the added sugars, that's a whole other like realm, you know?
Yeah, you got to be careful. I mean, like we use agave syrup in it as the sugars, but you get a lot of drinks out there right now that are marketed as like 0 sugar, 0 calories, but they put all sorts of other shit in it. And we kind of just wanted to avoid that. We kind of felt like having like natural flavorings and sugars were maybe like better than putting the other weird shit, which gets it down to like 0 calories. So that was kind of our thought process. I don't really know, to be honest with you. We'll see how it goes, but that's what we were thinking.
Dude, there's like 4 ingredients. Like,
yeah, it's very simple.
Fire.
Yeah.
Dude, this is the go-to drink for degens. That's like what I see Rekt Brands like becoming, like the drink for degens. And that's fucking dope. Like, are you guys going to put caffeine in any of these drinks eventually, or are you guys staying away from that? Because I know this one's non-caffeinated, which I fuck with, by the way, because I drink tea like all day, non-caffeinated tea. So like, I love that.
We thought about it. The original idea was like having a drink for if you're going out to like a bar or a rave or, you know, a party or whatever, and you don't want to drink alcohol, but you want something cool in your hand. And like the problem is right now, if you want like a non-alcoholic drink, you get stuff like this, and you don't really feel that cool like drinking it. It's like a fever tree. Yeah, it's just like, you know, there's like a sparkling water. It's the same kind of thing, but no one really feels cool drinking that. Whereas if you hold that, at least you feel cool, and you may not want to drink alcohol, but you still want to have a good time, right? And that was really the idea behind that. But I would, you know, like I love this idea of like the drink for degens, and you know, at the end of the day, so many of us just like sit at our screens all day, either like creating stuff, trading, whatever it is, and people drink caffeinated drinks, right? So I think that's definitely a market opportunity for us as well, and something we can explore on the next round.
Yeah, dude. Like, I love what you guys have done. Honestly, the concept of inviting everybody in, it is so Web3 of you, and it's blazing the trails like you guys have often done. And like, I have a lot of respect for the way that you've done that. Like, literally, everyone who owned a Rekt Guy, who they minted for free, for fucking free, like, has now gotten shares in a IRL brand that is fucking sick. Tons of attention to detail and the ingredients. Obviously, you guys are doing this the right way. So like, what was the thought process behind that? Like, where did that come from? Because I've never seen anybody do anything like that. Like, was it just like a brainstorm and it just was like, yo, this would be sick? Or like, how did you come up with that?
Yeah, so like Rekt Guy, the original NFT project, it was never really meant to be anything that big. It was something that I randomly created it's like a passion project. I spent my evenings and weekends making it, and it was a free mint. And when we launched it, it just became much bigger than I thought it ever would. And we just kept it as very much like a meme community, like um, funny vibes kind of project. But we've had events, in London, New York, Miami, Paris, etc., and they've all gone really well. And I felt like this idea of the Rekt brand had been growing over a long time. So it just felt like I was doing myself a disservice to not try and do something with it and make it something bigger. And so we decided to push forward with, how do we use the IP? How do we use the brand to make something? We decided on drinks. But then the next part of the equation is like, how do you loop in the original NFT holders to benefit in some of that success? Like if we go out there and launch a drinks company and then our consumers end up being the NFT holders, they don't really benefit from it, right? And our thing has always been to like bring along our supporters and our community from, people who've been there since day one and let them try and have a piece of the pie. So we thought, okay, let's go out there and make this Rekt Brands company. Let's go out there and do this drinks. But wouldn't it be cool if we could try and like give equity in that company to our NFT holders? Because that way it's not just centered around like, oh, let's hope Rekt Guy NFTs go higher if this brand is successful. And maybe they will, maybe they won't. But at least now with this mechanic, people actually have an economic stake in everything that we're doing. And if one day we end up, selling the company to a bigger player or whatever, like people will make money on that and get paid in real cash. And that's what we wanted to construct. We wanted our community to actually own some of the upside in what we're doing and not just own the NFTs and hope, one day they go higher or whatever.
Yeah, like the meme in and of itself, Rekt Guy, it's obviously immediately hits because I mean, if you've been in this space, I've been in since 2021, like you're gonna get wrecked eventually. And honestly, you're probably getting wrecked consistently. It's just about like getting as least wrecked as you can and just surviving and also thriving at the same time. It's interesting balance. And like that meme obviously hits true to the degens. And the degens are the ones, with the liquidity in the space who are active, who are basically the gasoline in my mind, pushing the space forward. So like the fact that first of all, it was a free mint. You did it because you were passionate about the art and putting something out there and you wanted to experiment. And then still like consistently thinking of holders. I think like for you and Mando, like, the background you guys have and the success you've had in the space, one of your edges is that you're able to think of holders in this way without having to extract from them. And you can consistently give and give and give. And I think you're literally one of the only founders in this space who have consistently given to your holders, and really, you've never really extracted from your holders, like at all. And that's really rare. I mean, and the fact that you're able to even do that and consistently like move forward and progress, because a lot of people need to have some sort of extraction to continue moving forward. But like that leads me to like that initial comment of like you and Mando, you aped Bored Apes, and you basically sold the top. I mean, fucking brilliant. Do you want to talk a little bit about that? Like, how did that happen? Like, just like a quick rundown of like getting involved with that and then what that meant for you guys as far as like being able to make that move, pulling the trigger on that, and how it's affected you now today.
Yeah, I mean, so what a crazy like trade that was. But the way that it started was like I originally minted 150 Bored Apes when I was like drunk, basically. And I ended up selling all of them. Yeah, I ended up selling all of them way too early. Because Mando told me to sell them, by the way. And so whatever, like I made
it,
some,
Mando.
yeah, no, I made some like pretty good money on it. Obviously, they still went up a lot from mint in the first few days. And I think I sold them all between like 0.5 or 0.6 ETH, or whatever. And then they went all the way to 3 to 4 ETH. And Mando was like, I'm really bullish Bored Apes now. And I was like, dude, you just made me sell them all and I've done like a 10x and now you're bullish. But anyway, he ended up actually buying like 69 of them. And I had other NFTs, like I had some X copy one-on-ones and stuff. And we ended up just combining like all the NFTs we owned into one big collection. And so I had some apes as well. So we ended up with 72 apes, which we just like kept and rode up for most of that cycle. Like we got the mutant airdrop and the ape coin airdrop, etc. And we kind of started to feel like the trade was like kind of done. You kept getting airdrops, but like the airdrops were getting less and less valuable. Um, we've always were wondering like, how do we get out of all these apes? Like as soon as we started selling one or two, you'd just get front run, right? And everyone would come and sell them. So we never really had the liquidity to sell them. But then Blur came along and you had all this incentivized bidding. And I remember the ape floor was like 70 ETH and Mando was like, hey, we can sell all our apes in one go if you wanted to. And I looked, I was like, wow, that's pretty crazy. But then we decided, nah, we don't really want to do it. Like, we're still bullish on it. We'll keep it. But then they rose to like 78, around 78, 80 ETH. And we're like, fuck, we should just do it. We should take liquidity and do it because, you never, on something like this liquid and this much size, you never get that much liquidity to be able to monetize your position in one go. So we were like, let's just call it a day on this trade, take the liquidity, sell it everything, and move on. And that's what we did. And it wasn't even really because we were like, everyone's like, oh, you guys are geniuses for selling the top and all that kind of stuff. And I think we just kind of got a little bit lucky with the timing, but we weren't like categorically bearish on apes or NFTs. I mean, I even bought I bought a punk and an autoglyph and a couple of other NFTs with some of the proceeds. So it wasn't that we were bearish NFTs at that point in time, but I do feel like pretty much like 2 or 3 weeks after that trade and you saw what was happening with Blur, it became very clear to me that NFTs were in this like downtrend and the only activity was basically Blur farmers. So, people often blame us for like, hey, you guys dumped and caused this NFT crash. I think a lot of it was maybe caused by the way this incentivized bidding worked with Blur. But I think, for me, the writing was on the wall, if not when we sold them like 2 or 3 weeks later. And the NFT market it wasn't like that. That wasn't the chart. The chart was like that. So you had like a long time to sell stuff and you had liquidity to do it because people were literally bidding on Blur. So, my opinion was that the writing was on the wall and it became kind of clear, I think 2 or 3 weeks after we sold everything. And that's why we just never bought back into apes or NFTs. And, people were like, oh, you guys going to buy back into apes? And we just never really did, basically.
So like honestly, I love the way that you look at the markets and how you trade. I've learned a lot from you actually from just your posts on social media. Like you share your mindset, you share like the open takes that you have. You're not afraid to be wrong and be like, fuck, I was wrong or whatever. And like you basically are incredibly transparent, which again, that's another thing that sets you apart. I think Mando as well. I read Mando's newsletter every day. Obviously I've followed you guys for a while. And I think that really does set you guys apart in a really cool way that people have built a lot of trust and understanding of who you are and all of that. But like you looked at the market and you basically like, okay, well, we have the opportunity to exit on such a large size, we should take it. And it's simple as that. There was really not that much emotion or any really involved, it seemed.
Yeah, you have to take emotion out of it. And I mean, it was emotional. It was like, we'd been in this trade for a long time and we kind of made our name on it and it was meaningful to us and it still is meaningful to us. And we're very like thankful to the Yuga team, but you have to take emotion out of it. And it just reminded us of like when we both used to be traders and we worked at Barclays and we used to take a lot of risk then as well, like more than the average trader. And we'd have these huge balance sheets with like all these different positions, hedges and all this kind of stuff. It was like pretty messy and you'd have so much P&L volatility. But all the time it was like you'd have a good run of making loads of unrealized P&L. And then it was always the thing, like if someone came to you today and was like, you pay me 100 grand and I'll take away all your risk. You'd always say yes, because you get rid of all the risk and you capture and monetize that P&L you've made for the last few weeks and months. And this was kind of like the same thing, except it wasn't a cost for us. We could like monetize the entire thing at the market and just bank the P&L that we've made. And it just when we thought about it from that perspective, it just felt like it was a no-brainer. Maybe we could have waited because like prices were kind of like going up with the Blur bidding and we could have scraped out another 10-20% from it. But I think we made the right decision in the end. You don't want to mess around at that, when the margins are that big.
Yeah, I think something I've learned through my trading journey, and it's this like, look, like, are you really going to try to squeeze that extra 10% out of the trade? Like, you don't really need to do that. Like, it could be nice to sell the tippy top, but in reality, like, when you have the liquidity, you're able to monetize it in that moment. I completely agree. I think you guys executed an amazing trade there with that. And obviously too, it's kind of like helped propel you through, not only like you said, it made kind of a name for you guys at that moment, but also like it's given you a lot from doing that. Like think about all the positive aspects of it versus just bag holding NFTs, trying to, you know, hold to this like insane valuation of each one. So big respects on that trade. I think that's absolutely epic. But there's so much more to you than just selling the, you know, the top or Pico top of Bored Apes. Like, so that happened. And then kind of like after that, Rekt Guy, like, how did that get started? Like, how long did it take you to draw all of this stuff? Like, what inspired you? Obviously the Rekt meme, but I want to learn more like, what was the inspiration behind it and how did it unfold?
Yeah, so I actually drew the first Rekt Guy on a piece of paper um, when I was working in my old job. When I was working my old job at Barclays, I may even have it here.
No
No,
fucking
I
way.
don't. Oh,
It's
I
like a
do. Yeah,
napkin almost like,
I do have it here.
oh,
This
no
is this
way.
is my
Let's
this is
see.
my notebook from the trading desk.
Oh
Um,
shit.
and then where is it?
That's fucking dope.
Yeah, here we go. That is the
Yo,
first ever Rekt Guy
dude,
drawn on a piece of paper. And you see all
that
these
is
like random
fucking
notes there
awesome.
and stuff that, yeah. So I was just like, I had some time off work in 2021 and I spent all that time obviously like trading NFTs and stuff. And then I got back to my job in September and I was just like, I just can't do this. Like, I just want to get back to NFTs and crypto and stuff. And I was just basically in a meeting and just doodling on my notepad. And that's the first Rekt Guy that I drew. And I think the reason why it's a skull and a skeleton, the characters are translucent, is because it's meant to be the idea that someone has like kind of like lost their soul a little bit. That was the inspiration behind the artwork, and you kind of like sold your soul to this corporate world, and that's kind of how I felt with that job. And my eyes opened to that even more when I had that time off. And I just started having this character in like one of one works. It wasn't a collection or anything yet, but I'd released a bunch of one of ones just really for fun. Really, I didn't really expect them to go crazy or anything, and it was a recurring character. And then it kind of just made sense to me. It's like, should I just make this character like a PFP collection? It could be a cool project to do. And I felt like there were so many PFPs where it's like, hey, here's like a cute furry animal, and they use pastel colors and all that kind of stuff. And I was like, well, it's nice, but that's not really like my style. It's not really like reflective of life, if that makes sense. It's not really like actually very crypto native either. So I was like, okay, wouldn't it be cool if we made a PFP collection, but instead of like those colors, you had like a black background and like all these like neon colors over the top. And that was kind of how I constructed this with this recurring character. And then the name Rekt Guy only really came up, I think, after I created the whole thing. We still weren't really sure what to call it. Um, and I wanted to have the word Rekt in it, and then I just thought, hey, Rekt Guy, like that's just a brilliant name for this collection, and that's what we went with. And obviously, we released it, and the entire market nuked in like April April 2022. It was good and bad timing. It was bad timing for all our bags, but maybe the timing we needed for this project to kind of take off.
That's fucking amazing. It was like a prophecy. It's like you made the project and then it minted out and then the market just like fucking nukes. Like that's how the timeline basically went, right?
Yeah, pretty
Yeah.
much. Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, so that's fucking interesting. Like, so I love seeing the drawing of the original concept. That is so fucking sick, dude. Like, because the lore involved in this and your journey and the contributions you and Mando have made in this space is like just amazing, you know? So like seeing that is super cool. It hits me in the feels, honestly. And I love the idea of like making it translucent because you kind of like feel like, you know, the energy that went into it is like true and real. And a lot of your work really reflects that. Like one of the pieces that I have of yours that I really love is the one that's like an over the back shot and he's on his laptop and the chart's going down. And basically it's kind of reminds you of like at night, you're like trading, and it's like fuck, and you're like damn it, and like I'm so fucking wrecked. And then you have like your significant other like kind of somewhere in that
Yeah.
idea as well. And another one of your works that I really love is I think it's called Insomnia, if I'm
Yeah.
remembering the right
Yeah.
title.
Yeah. 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 It's something I think is maybe the one you just described, actually, perhaps.
Oh shit. Okay. Well, I own both of these pieces and I absolutely love them. But the one you're sitting in bed and the woman is there and you're kind of like,
Oh no, you're right. You are right. So you are right. It's a different one. Yeah, I know which one you mean.
yes, both of
I know
those.
exactly which one you
Like,
mean. Yeah.
yeah, maybe I'll like flash them on on the screen in post editing or whatever. But basically, like, I love the energy that you bring to your work in that way, like, because it really is relatable, you know. So, that's fucking sick. So, like, after Rekt Guy, basically, you know, the market nuked, and we all were kind of like uncertain of what the future is for NFTs, and basically, you know, obviously still believe in crypto. Where did you go from there? Like, were you accumulating? Were you like kind of out of the market? Are you a consistent trader every single day? Or do you sit on your hands more in the market and just kind of let the market work for you? Like, what's your style and like mentality there?
Yeah, I think 2021, I spent a lot of time like actively trading. And what I realized was, I made okay money, but the best thing to have done was to hold the best asset and just hold it for the whole cycle. And that would have been apes. Um, and so this cycle, I was like, I'm really going to like try and learn from that. And we had the whole crash in 22 and 23. And I didn't really I wasn't one of those people that lost faith in crypto. Like I was like, okay, great. I had liquidity. And I was like, this is now an opportunity for me to like buy this dip in size and then just be patient and hold on to it. And I started, buying in 2022. I kept buying throughout 2023, and it felt like a long time. It was like 18 months of DCAing and just trying to be patient and stay in the space and not get frustrated. But the benefit of that is when we got towards the end of 2023 and the first part of this year, I just was able to buy so much at such low prices that when things went up like 5, 10x, and even more on meme coins, like I was early to meme coins as well. I was just in this great, got into myself in this great position where I just didn't really have to like FOMO or chase anything because I had like big size positions on things that went up a lot. And really my problem actually turned into not, oh, I need to FOMO something because I need to make this money. It was more like, wow, this random meme coin that was like 5% of my portfolio is now like 75% of my portfolio. What am I supposed to do here? Like, do I need to like sell some? Do I need to average out and rebalance? And that's been a great thing to have. And so like all of this year, really, even though I tweet a lot about risk taking and different ideas and narratives and meme coins and ETH and Solana and all that kind of stuff, the amount I trade is actually so little compared to the amount that I tweet because I'm just holding stuff really that I bought 18 months ago and I'm just clipping away at that into strength. So I don't really actively trade anymore, to be honest with you. Like sometimes I get a bit, as everyone does, you get a bit bored and I just degen on something and relatively small size and either works or it doesn't. But I just feel like feel confident in the stuff that I'm holding and I have done for the last, I would say like 3 or 4 months when it kind of became clear. I felt like I had the right stuff. And I just don't feel like I need to change that now. I don't feel like I need to um chase other things because I think once you have like the cycle's right assets, if that makes sense, you can hold that for the cycle and probably make more money than like actively trading. And that's kind of how I'm looking at things right now. Like my next moves really are like holding on to what I have. And, if we have like another great big pump from here, like be disciplined and take some more profits and chips off the table.
I love that take. Like, I want to ask one question. Is the hat still on?
The hat's still on, man. The hat is still on. The hat's still on.
Nice.
I I
Fuck yeah.
sold I sold like I had a lot of whiff. I got lucky on that as well. I bought that in December, just like
Strong
re-
asset, man.
great asset. Yeah, great asset.
Amazing.
Really, yeah, really luck more than anything else, I would say. But I sold 75% of my position in I just want to say like around March, April time, because I was like, as soon as it gets to $1 billion market cap, as soon as it gets to Binance, I'm going to actually not round trip here and like take some money off the table. But the 25% that I have left is still like a pretty large position. And I'm still just like riding it because I think we haven't seen the best of it yet. I think we could see a lot more to come. And I'm really bullish on Solana this year. And I think I'm in the camp that Whiff is a good like Solana beta. I think if Sol goes above 200, we're going to see like 5 billion plus Whiff, in my opinion.
Yeah, I have to agree with you on that. Like Solana is where the degens are hanging out, and Whiff is obviously, a leveraged bet on Solana. So like when you got into Whiff, was it just like, did you have a grand thesis, or were you like, look, easy peasy, like dog has a hat, he still has a hat. Nothing's gonna take the hat away from the dog. Like there's no roadmap where the hat doesn't get executed. Like he's gonna have a hat and he always will have a hat. It's fucking funny and it's dope. Like, was it just as simple as that? Or like, how do you identify these types of trends? Is it like a gut thing? Like, because like you said there, how you notice Bored Apes, and it's like, how do I hold the best asset of the cycle? How do you identify that?
It's tough to know. So at the beginning, the reason why I bought it was because I had like zero exposure to Solana, and this is like around December of last year. Zero exposure to Solana, it was ripping, and the whole bonk thing happened. Like bonk went to 1 billion plus and got listed on Coinbase,
Right.
and I was just like, man, like the Sol thing isn't going away. You've had one big meme coin rally, and I remember this happened with Pepe in April. Like when Pepe went crazy, you had a bunch of other coins that went crazy afterwards, and that's like the easy. It's hard to recognize the Pepe part of the trade sometimes because you don't know something's going to leave. But once it does, and when it happens for the first time in a while, inevitably there are other tokens that come up that do really well. So I saw Whiff and I was like, man, this is pretty funny. Like literally like this is cute dog wearing a hat and there wasn't anything more to it. It really is like the best meme. It's one of the funniest and most likable memes. And I was like, this is just brilliant. Like I just love this meme. That was the main reason. But then I was also like, well, like, we saw Bonk do this. Like there are going to be other memes on Soul that are going to make these moves. And to be honest with you, when I bought it, I was like, I'm just going to buy it and I'm going to be in it for like a 2 or 3, maybe 4x or something, and I'll sell on and move on. But the longer I held it, the more I realized that this was becoming like a much bigger thing. And I didn't realize that at the beginning. Like I wasn't like, oh my God, this is going to go to 2 billion market cap. That wasn't my thought originally. I was like, maybe it goes to 100 or 200. But it just kept going. And then you had that day when someone put like $8 million into it or whatever, and we had that crazy wick. I was just like, come on, like
Yeah.
no one in their right mind is doing that unless they think they're going to crush it on this trade. And they're going to try and make it like a shib out of it, whatever. So that's what I knew is like this has more legs in it, and it was tough because like everyone who was in early, I was up so much, and I had times where I just like you had days when it would just nuke, and I sold my entire position and I bought it back on the same day. Like I was really like back and forth on it because I just didn't want to round trip, and I round trip so many things the year before. But after a while, there was just that one day where it just clicked for me, and I was like, man, I just need to hold this. And then I just held it, didn't do anything until it hit my targets, and then took the profits. And now I'm happily holding the rest of it.
Yeah, I think the taking the profits part really relieves a lot of that like mental strain. And I think with trading, a lot of people talk about, yo, I bought this and I'm gonna sell it at this point, or I bought this and I sold it here, and like everyone flexes the profits in those cases. But I feel like what's not talked about a lot is actually the part of the trade that actually is the most mental strain, which is the thinking about the trade. Like I'm in the trade and it's easy to be like, yo, I bought it and now I'm going to sell it for higher. But like the mental strain of I'm holding this, I want to check the charts. I wake up in the morning, I'm thinking about price. Is it good price? Is it bad price? Like, what do you think about that? Like, because I feel like it's not really talked about very much. And what do you say to traders who like, they struggle with holding stuff because they're so consumed with price action?
Yeah, it's really hard, like trading is not easy. It's tough. And even when you finally bought the right coin and you're holding it, your problem then is like, when do I sell it? Like, how do I avoid round tripping? And a lot of emotions come in, and it becomes weirdly, even though you're up so much unrealized P&L, it becomes even more stressful because you're so worried about like, you have so much PTSD. Oh, one time I round tripped something, or one time I sold something too early and it did like a 10x afterwards. It's pretty tough. And it just depends. It depends what your goal is. If your goal is like, I want to make I want to make 7 figures and quit my job and do this full time. That's my goal. If that's your goal, then that should be your target, right? Don't just try and make the quick 2x or 3x and make it a little bit where it doesn't make that much difference to your life. Whereas if you held, it did. Because if that's your goal, that's what you need to do. If your goal is like, oh, I just want to I don't want to lose money, but I just want to make a little bit here and there, then you got to take profits more frequently. There isn't a right answer. Like I think very often people say, and I'd say this a lot as well. It's like, learn to DCA out your positions. You don't have to like be a hero and stuff. And that's fine. I think that's true for most, it's true for most people. And that's what I'm doing now. Like I'm trying to make sure I DCA out stuff. So I still have some skin in the game if it goes higher, but I've also taken profits. And that's definitely the best way to do something. But, if you're out there and you want to you're like, man, I just want to like change my life with crypto and I want to take shots and I'm willing to lose money. I understand that I may lose money taking these shots, but that's what I really want desperately. Then you've got to like be in it to hold it for that 100x and just be confident for it. And that's what I felt like in 2021. I was like, I'd made some decent money, but it like wasn't enough to quit my job. And I was like, you know what? Like if I just sell everything now, I'll make some good money, but I'm not going to quit my job. And my life isn't going to change that much. Whereas if I just hold for the ride, there's a chance, even if it's 10 or 20%, there's a chance I can like make a decent amount and quit and have a different life. And that's what I did. And luckily for me, it worked out. But, it's not every day that you can do that. And you have to figure out where in the cycle you are. But, you have to assess your goals, I think, your personal goals, and then manage your emotions around that and decide when to sell or buy around that, I would say.
Damn, that's fucking amazing, amazing advice right there. Not financial advice, of course, just life advice. And I do appreciate that. That's really good. I'm, myself, like I understood that like there's this obsession with like hyper gambling our way to freedom. And I think a lot of the market has that mentality. And I remember reading like a tweet from Ansem that was like, this is the only way for people to really break out of this matrix is to hyper gamble their way. And you have to do it essentially. And like that mentality, the thing about that though, is like, you can really get wrecked like massively if you hyper gamble too much of your stack. So I've learned that the hard way in a lot of different ways, took some big losses, and it kind of forced me to refocus my trading strategy. Like I've been studying the game of trading for a long time. I've been a trader for a while. I've traded a solid 8 figures of NFTs, and like I've done a solid probably 8 figures of meme coins and stuff like that. Just like sheer volume, just pegging it in and out, in and out, in and out. And I had that mentality of like, I need to hyper gamble my way to success. But then when I had like a massive loss, like 50% of my portfolio in a day, on DGen recently over the last few months, the Farcaster coin, I started refocusing my strategy, and I was just so burnt out and stressed from looking at charts every single day, being so like scalpy. And I was like, finally, I'm just going to like put a lot of my port in and just go with one conviction bet, and basically bought the top, lost like 50%. And now I realize like, okay, well, I don't need to full port stuff. I don't need to like do that. I need to more so have conviction bets on a longer time span. Like what you said here is like, okay, how can I buy the best asset of this cycle? That is like one of the dopest ways to put it, in my opinion. Because then you're focusing on, all right, what has like true staying power? Is it really DGen coin? That's literally called DGen. Like, is that the best meme that I can see? When I look at WIF, it's like, I mean, come on, the dog has a hat. The hat is not going anywhere. It's basically like the Sheeb or Doge of Solana. I mean, people might disagree with that, but I think that it has the massive potential. So it's like, I think you've nailed it in the sense of like being able to pick winners in a way that makes sense. Like, I know you also talk about MOG. So like MOG was obvious in hindsight now at this point, but like, what was your conviction bet with MOG? Like, did you dump a lot in really early? Like, I know you have some really early artworks that are showing, the pit vipers and the moggles. And basically, like, what was your thoughts around that trade?
Yeah, that's an interesting one, actually. I stumbled into that one from, I bought a bunch of Pepe at the beginning. I got myself into a few different group chats, kind of like in some of these Milady group chats, and I've never really been like in the Milady crew or anything. And they created this coin called Mog, and I just kind of found it funny. So I bought it. I bought some of it. I bought very small amounts of it on day one, and then um, I think it went to like a 7 or 8 million market cap in a few weeks, and then I think I just got like it was one of those moments where I just sort of like felt like I wanted to gamble on something, and I thought meme coins were going to like go a lot higher in the next 2 or 3 weeks. So I just bought like loads of Mog at like 7 or 8 million market cap, and then obviously then spent a lot of time in that community. And the thing about Mog is you just had like at the beginning a lot of it was owned by whales, but these guys just their aim was to not sell this thing and just make it like what it is today. It's pretty incredible. And I've monetized a lot of my Mog position as well now, but a lot of these original guys that are in it, these guys are still holding a ton of Mog, and they're probably not going to sell it until it gets to some crazy level, like 10, 20, 30, 40 billion market, whatever it is. And that's just how these guys are wired. Like that's, for me, that's the reason why I held onto a lot of Mog for so long, because they're just like the people who are in it and the people that created it and the whole community, they're on a different level. It's like, it's irrational. It's completely irrational. They just want to hold this thing and ride it up to crazy levels just because. Like, it's almost like they're not even in it to make money. They're just in it to like make Mog go as high as possible. It's a weird, it's a strange thing. But just like Whiff and the dog having a hat, putting the Vipers onto anything, it's very memeable, right? You can put it onto anything, and suddenly it gives it this like different feeling. It's not even really like a meme coin. It is, they call it a culture coin, and I do believe in that. Like, it's empowering to put on Vipers and be like, cool, I'm just gonna like go out there and like Mog shit. Like it feels like pretty strong and empowering. I liked that feeling and association with that coin. But it's another one of those things, like, at the beginning, maybe this one was one at the beginning where I was like, man, this could really go crazy one day, just because of like the way people are involved. And if they are going to walk the talk, this thing is going to go crazy. And, I've again, like at one point I owned so much of it, and if I kept it all today, it would have been worth a stupid amount of money. And it's always the way you're never able to hold it the whole way. But I still think that's a really interesting one. And bearing in mind, like, it's an ETH meme, and ETH memes have had a tough time. That's done really well. It's kind of like broken out of the ETH meme, dungeon, if you like. I think it's an interesting one as well. I think it's a really interesting one as well.
Yeah, it definitely is. The holders, the culture, the cult following around Mog, and how it's a verb as well. Like, and it's been a verb for a long time. Like back in like 4chan days, apparently people are saying, "Yo, like get Mog to like," interesting shit there, because like it's got a lot of roots. And yeah, I'm definitely bullish. I don't own any actually, but I obviously see the people posting about it all the time, and I think it's cemented itself for sure, especially because ETH is like hasn't really had any big movers as much. It's really been mostly the action on Solana, besides like Pepe, which obviously it's Pepe. But even that had its like lull for a while, and I know you really placed a big conviction bet on that. And I remember you posting about saying, well, I learned something, that like people are going to want the new thing. It's not necessarily like clear that I'm going to win just by making a big bet on something that's so obviously a huge meme. But like when a new thing comes around, people are going to want to rotate to that. But then they did end up rotating back, in a sense, back to Pepe. But anyway, I want to kind of switch gears. I love the trading talk. I could talk about it for endlessly, especially with you, because I know you got a really deep mind, a deep mindset of like how this game is played, and a lot of experience. But I want to switch gears and talk more about Rekt Brands, like because first of all, man, like I said, this is fucking delicious. So I love that you guys are doing this. Is this like your passion project right now? I know you just had a kid, a baby. Congratulations. Is a baby boy?
It's a girl. I had a girl.
Baby girl. Dude, congratulations on that. That is a dimension of life that I haven't yet had the blessing to experience. In the future, I absolutely hope that I do. But like, how has that affected things for you? Are you more passive now in your trading game? Are you still like looking at NFTs and wanting to collect? Are you still degenning heavily, or are you more so kind of chilling and spending more time with family and stuff?
It does make you feel a bit more risk averse, I would say. Like, even before she was born, I was like, man, I can't just like, fuck around with this stuff. I got to actually have some real money in the bank just in case, because it's not just me anymore. If I was like by myself and I was single, I would just have done stupid stuff, and I maybe would have like lost all my money, or have just like made a crazy amount, but it would have been very binary. Whereas like events like that make you realize you need to actively like take chips off the table, get cash in the bank, and manage it in a different way. And so um, it hasn't changed the way in which I will like deploy the existing capital that I have. Like I still take bets, I still take risk, I still have like big size and stuff, but it has made me want to like re-roll less. You know what I mean? It's like when I'm able to take chips off, it's like cool, that's like money in the bank. Make sure I have that for a rainy day or whatever, and then let's take risk with what I have here and try and grow that stack again. Whereas in the past I would have just like put that money back in again on dips and just getting really aggressive. And I think I'm less inclined to do that now, unless we have like a huge drop off. But in terms of time, it takes up a lot of time. Like I used to do so many different things, and I've had to cut back on stuff. And I used to do a lot of podcasts. I did the daily podcast with the Rug Radio guys, and I stepped down from that. So you have to pick and choose the stuff that you're able to spend time on. And I think for me, the main focus really is going to be on Rekt Brands and everything we're doing there. I want to make that my main focus, and it is right now my main focus. And I don't want to be in a position where I spread myself too thin and not have time for important things.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, when it comes to having a passion project, I think like that's like the best flavor of life, is like feeling like I don't need to worry about where that next trade is coming from or whatever. And I'm able to focus on something that I truly am excited about. And now too, the way that you've done this is you've literally indoctrinated all of the existing people that are already holding assets of yours with Rekt Guy into this brand to then become evangelists, because they now are part owners of it. So they're naturally going to evangelize it, which I think is so smart. And I think a lot of people probably model that playbook in ways if they can. I know there was a good legal implication of like having to do it the right way and like signing up through different services. I saw you guys were using like a third party thing and basically getting people to get their shares in a way that makes sense. That like kind of complex work seems like, it's kind of a barrier to entry, but like if people do follow that, I think it can be really, really rewarding for rewarding those existing people. So I love to hear that you're like, really passionate about it, because I think that is the best flavor of life, is getting to work on something that you really love. But now that you have a family that you're building and you kind of do feel a little more risk averse, are you still like aping into like NFTs or anything like that? Or is that kind of like more so like you're waiting for another run up on that? Or like, where's your head around NFTs?
Just trying to find the right timing. It's been, I've held off from materially buying any NFTs for most of this year, away from just art that I like. And it's been the right decision so far, apart from maybe Ordinals. Ordinals obviously did very well at the beginning of this year. I do think the market comes back. I do, just because I think collection is in human nature and it has been for centuries. That's not going away. And trading NFTs and looking at different traits and rarities and aesthetics and all that stuff, like it's so much more fun than just mindlessly trading meme coins, right? So I think it will come back, but it's hard to really know in what shape or form it comes back in. And there's an argument to say it did come back. It was ordinals, and now that's died off a little bit. So I don't know. Like I feel hesitant to meaningfully swing the bat on NFTs, because they're also not that liquid. I could buy a bunch of NFTs now today, and if I wanted to then sell them tomorrow, it's not that easy. Whereas if I just bought some random meme coin and I want to sell it tomorrow, like you can generally get liquidity. It might be down a lot, but you can generally move in and out of it, and it's not quite the same for NFTs. So I just haven't got myself to like, and it's not because I'm not bullish on them. I think I'm just being a bit of a wimp, to be honest with you. I'm not manning up and taking that bet. But some people are. Some smart people that I know are people who I respect, and I suspect they'll end up doing very well on it. But I think my main thing is I just think crypto has so much higher to go, and the worst thing in the world is like ETH goes to 5K or 10K, but the NFTs you own are lower in ETH price, and they've underperformed. Right, that's what I want to avoid.
Mhm.
And right now I want to focus on just those liquid tokens to go much higher, and then I think I can deploy some into NFTs. I think.
Yeah, I agree with that take. I'm curious if you think that Solana NFTs will see another run up at any point. Do you feel like it's mostly the DGen casino around meme coins with Solana, or do you feel like there's like some room there for Solana NFTs to get really bullish?
Feel like potentially yes, but I think so. I think for like high end art, I don't think it's going to take off in Solana. I think there's too much like provenance on Ethereum. There are too many things that Ethereum has that real large high end collectors care about that I think doesn't exist in Solana. Um, but another part of the NFT market is like the PFP stuff, the DGen stuff, the casino like stuff. And that I could see taking off in Solana. But the thing is, like, because of how strong the meme coin market is and how active that market is in Sol, it feels like it's going to be pretty hard for that attention to shift from meme coins to NFTs, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, I think I just have hopium around like Solana collectibles potentially, just because I feel like it would be so fun to be a DGen aping into NFT collections and checking rarity and all of that. And I just don't really see it happening on base that much. Maybe it'll happen on ETH. People will sack up and just forget about the gas fees for a little bit and just be like, yo, like I'm gonna ape this shit anyway. Maybe a big enough creator or brand comes out and does something. But yeah, so anyway, I want to get back again to Rekt Brands. So like what is the vision now for Rekt Brands? Like obviously first edition here. I've got another one, so I was able to crack this one. I don't think I will probably ever open that other one. It'll just sit on my bar cart and kind of be like a memento. But like what's the vision there? Like beyond first edition and with the holders and that now are evangelists, like what's next?
Yeah, look, we have a lot that we've been working on for the first 6 months of this year, and we haven't been able to release it or launch it yet because we've needed to get this equity gifting out the way, and that was a long legal process to get it done in a compliant fashion. So now that's done, and we've been sending out some teasers and stuff from the Rekt Drinks account. I would say the next half of this year is going to look very different to the first half of this year for Rekt Brands, for Rekt Drinks, for Rekt Guy. I can't really give away too much as to what we're doing, but I think in the next few days and weeks it will become clear. But all my resources and focus are going into Rekt Brands right now. We have a really awesome team. We have a small team. There's like 4 full-time people within the team, but it's a very productive and strong team. And I think we're going to do some cool stuff this year. And hopefully we'll have a great event in. I'd love to have a great event in Miami for Art Basel, as we haven't done any events this year since Paris. So yeah, there's going to be a lot, but I want to make it, I want it to be, I think a brand exists there. I want to push it and make it a much stronger. I don't want to use the term Web3 brand because I find that like a little bit cringe. I just want it to be like a lifestyle brand. And I think people relate to this like idea or concept or culture of being wrecked. And I think we fostered like a pretty strong culture, and there's an opportunity there to make it something much bigger than it is. And the great thing about that is now everyone has a piece of this pie. So yeah, that's what we would want to try and do and focus on. And hopefully it all becomes clearer, I think, in the next few days and weeks.
Yeah, something is definitely brewing for sure. I've seen
Yeah.
something brewing on the timeline, literally. And I do think like, Web3 brand just doesn't have the same allure as like, this is the DGen's fucking beverage. Like, this is like by OSF and obviously Mando's on the team, right? I'm guessing because I know you guys made Rekt Guy together basically. And like it being like the DGen's drink feels very fun to me. It's like, yeah, I fucking drink Rekt Guy. Like, I drink this beverage because I think it's fucking cool and I am wrecked. Like we're all wrecked. Like it's a fun meme to relate to because inevitably you get wrecked playing this game. So it's like even that for like gaming too, not even just like crypto, but like the DGens playing games like, streamers and shit. Like maybe you collaborate with a big streamer and they're like, yo, this is the shit. Maybe you collaborate with a big like degen brand, like another brand, or maybe a digital art gallery, or even museums that are, you know, highlighting degeneracy and NFTs and the history of it all. Like, I think there's so much potential there. And I think it's just so sick that you're able to then work on this now with the peace of mind of like, look, I don't need to like stress about doing all this stuff. Like, you're building a family, you're working on this passion project. I think that's really sick. Is there any alpha that you can share that, because this won't come out for like a week or so anyway, but like any alpha, and it's fine if you can't, any alpha you can share for Rekt Brands about what's brewing?
I would say just make sure you're following the Rekt Drinks account. By the time you're watching this, you may have put some pieces of the puzzle together, but um, you know, our thing has always been to support our community and our followers, and um, you know, we've obviously gave equity to Rekt Guy holders. I know new holders have joined the ecosystem and, you know, have maybe missed out on that, but my thought process has always been to, you know, if you reward your holders, if you reward the supporters, the people that own the stuff that you have created, you can build a really strong and diehard loyal fan base, and that's always going to be at the top of what we do. So you know, keep that in mind and make sure just following Rekt Drinks and everything that comes out of that in the next few days, I would say.
Hell yeah. I love to hear that. Switching gears slightly, I know we're kind of getting close to time here, and I'm sure you've got a big day and doing a bunch of stuff. But basically, I want to ask you a bit about like Ovi, you know, like you as a human being. What is like a day in the life? Like, I see your enjoy skateboard in the back. I have a skateboard myself. I've got a Baker, just the classic fucking Baker from childhood that like I've was fucking wrecked plenty times as a kid, like super fucked, credit cards, all that fucking shit, being like a young degen skater, just getting fucked up in the streets. And um, literally, like, I used to have like my shins just bruised so much that my parents like were like, okay, like this is their, like, this isn't good for you. Like, your shin is literally purple. And like, I loved skating as a kid. I still skate sometime. You know, like, so like, what is like a day in the life of OSF? And do you skate? Do you like have other hobbies outside of trading? Like, I know things maybe have changed since having the baby girl, and more focused now on like, you know, time with family. But like, what is like a day in the life for Ovi?
Yeah, I think, you know, I don't really skate much anymore. I used to skate when I was younger. Haven't really had time to do it, but I've, you know, been a massive fan of like skating and skate culture since I was like 11 or 12. You know, so for a long while. But I don't know, I like to stay fit, work out and stuff. So you know, I don't really like hit the gym to lift weights. I like playing sports. I love sports, and so I do a lot of boxing. So I'll still try and do that a couple of times a week. Um, I play a lot of football or soccer, as you guys may call it. I used to play in a league, but I've had to hang the boots up there since the baby. So and I love playing golf as well. Play a lot of golf as well. So like my spare time really is, you know, when I'm not spending time with family or not working, is basically just sports. I'm a huge sports fan in terms of playing it. But yeah, so the time for that right now is few and far between. But hopefully it'll pick back up again in the coming months.
Nice. I love golf as well myself. Anytime I can kind of like relax and go and do something like that, that's fun. But I agree, you know, time, I mean, I don't have a child right now, but like if I did, I would imagine like it would be consuming a lot of my time in a great way too. I mean, there's different dimensions to that that you end up getting to enjoy such beauty from that in ways that like right now I can't really comprehend. And like, I think that's really dope. And being able to have the time to focus on family is so cool too, outside of working on something that fuels you. So that's pretty sick. What is like a day in your life like? Like, do you wake up early? Like, when you wake up, like, what do you eat for breakfast? Like,
Yeah,
what's your vibe on that side of things?
yeah. I'm definitely a morning person. Like I like waking up early, doing stuff early, and feeling like I've achieved something before like the day even starts. Um, Pre-baby, that was like waking up, going to go work out. Like I'll do like a 6 or 7 a.m. workout, and then get to my desk, look at all the charts and stuff. I write like a daily commentary, market commentary as well. That's free for everyone to subscribe to if you want to subscribe to that. And that kind of gets my head in the game of like what's going on. And then I'm usually just at my desk for the next like 10, 11 or 12 hours, just doing all the stuff that we have in Rekt Brands and any of the trading stuff I have to do. I don't really take a lunch break. Like I've never, back on the trading floor, you just didn't take a lunch break. You would go out there and get lunch and eat it at your desk. And I still just have that same habit basically. And I just try and finish up by like 6 or 7 p.m. sometimes my time, and try and make sure I spend some time with family and stuff. Now I'm probably only hitting the gym once a week, and spend some time with the baby in the mornings and help out with that stuff for a couple of hours before I start my day. So yeah, it looks pretty different now than it did, but it's good. Like I think I have a good balance of working and doing other stuff as well, I think.
Yeah, like that's cool, man. I like that. So you're on like an intermittent fasting vibe pretty much. So you don't eat till like lunchtime basically.
Well, I did for a while. Like I didn't for like probably like a decade. Intimate because I used to get into the office pretty early. I could get into the office at 6:30 in the morning. I never used to feel hungry then, and then I'd just be so busy until like 11 or 12. So I was like accidentally intermittently fasting, and it worked really well for me. Like um, I always felt pretty fit and felt like I looked better than I deserved to, given how much I was working out. But when I took up boxing, just because like the workouts and stuff were so intense, and I fought in the crypto fight night thing in November last year, and I had to like gain weight for it, and it was just impossible to like do IF and gain weight. So really, in the last 6 months, I've changed from doing IF to actually eating in the mornings now, and I'll have the same thing every morning. I have like this natural hemp protein shake thing. I get like 2 scoops of that. I have a scoop of athletic greens, put a bit of honey in it. It's pretty raw, but I'll just drink that every single morning, whether I work out or whether I don't. And I feel like that sets me up. That sets my diet up pretty well because I get some good like clean protein in my diet without getting some of the other stuff. And I feel like if I do that and have my usual workout routine, I can then just eat whatever I want outside of that, basically. So, but I would advise the IF for anyone who's like trying to get in shape and lose weight and see a difference from the offset, because it really did work for me, I think. And I felt sharp, I felt sharp and I felt switched on. I did always feel energized by it.
Yeah, it's like the energy levels thing for me. Like if I eat early, I need to really eat something like something like that would work, like a hemp protein shake with like a little bit of something like honey would be cool. But like athletic greens, that's also a hack. I heard that from like Tim Ferriss back in the day. Haven't tried it, but does it make you feel tired when you have that, or you're coasting?
Honestly, I haven't noticed a single difference from having it, but it's one of those things where I think you may not notice the difference, but you just know like it has all the vitamins and everything you need in one scoop. So, maybe you don't feel the difference, but it probably does make some difference somewhere along the way.
Yeah, man, it's been epic getting to chat with you. I guess one last question to wrap things up. Like as far as like you doing sports and different things like that, do you like what parallels have you learned from taking on other aspects outside of trading, like boxing, like playing football, like going and golfing? Do you see any parallels that help you there in the world that we're in with like trading and with crypto?
Oh, absolutely, for sure. I mean, if you are someone who cares about fitness and you're trying to get in shape, trying to get better at sport, it requires a lot of discipline. Like dieting, for example, IF. That's a lot of discipline. Trying knowing not to eat for 8 hours when you could easily go out there and get like a chocolate bar or whatever. That's all discipline, and discipline is one of the most important things in trading, actually, because you need to be like, oh, I'm not going to FOMO into this high and not going to panic sell at this low and all that stuff. It's the same emotions and the same skill sets that you need. And it's funny because like in my time of trading at Barclays, there was 1 year where I lost money. I made money every single other year. And the 1 year where I lost money, I just had no discipline. I was like, I'd get into like a big position and I'd keep buying more and more of it. But I'd buy it at the highs when, the momentum was breaking out, rather than like averaging down at the lows and selling at the highs. And I remember my boss took me into a room and he was just like, he told me, he was like, I don't get it. Like, you're so disciplined in every other aspect of your life. Like, you work out every morning, you do intermittent fasting, you eat clean, you never get angry at anyone. You're very balanced, very disciplined. But when you trade, you just go crazy. Like, and he was like, I just don't get it. Like, why can't you just apply those skill sets to your trading? And I was like, to be honest with you, I have no idea why I don't do that. It's just greed, or it's just, not concentrating. So, after that, like the next year, I was like, cool, I'm just going to just do the same shit in my trading that I do in my normal life. And it worked like a dream. I was just, you know, every time I'd make that mistake of like, oh, I'm really long this and I want to buy more, I was like, no, wait, you don't need to buy more. You already own enough. Don't be greedy. And if it rises a lot, just like, cool, like take some profits, sell some. You don't have to be, you don't have to keep riding it up. And that allowed me to, when things crash, but cool, now I can afford to like add risk here because I took some chips off. So um, I think the way you live your life and the way you apply discipline in other parts of your life outside of trading are highly important. And the two things are not different. They both go hand in hand. And live your life like how you want to trade your life, and trade your life like how you want to live your life. Is what I say.
Damn, that's amazing. I love that. I think that's a great place to wrap up. Like, amazing quote. Might have to clip that one for sure. And
Yeah,
man, I appreciate your time. Thank you for coming on here. Thanks for sharing a bit about the vision, a bit about the personal life of OSF, and a bit about the history too, and the ups and downs essentially. And I really appreciate you coming through. It's been amazing. You're definitely in it five the art, man. You're in it five the game of you're in it five the people. You're in it five the journey. Like, I have a lot of respect for you, and I think that you're absolutely someone in this space that has pushed it forward, continues to push it forward. So that inspires me, and yeah, it means a lot that you came through. And this is definitely one of my favorite pods so far. So thanks, man, and Godspeed with Rekt Brands. I'm definitely a big supporter, and yeah, I'm looking forward to the future of that and watching it all unfold. Keep crushing
yeah,
it, man.
awesome, man. Thanks a lot for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Hell yeah. Anytime you want to come back and talk more about Rekt Brands, you're absolutely welcome. No hesitation. And I appreciate it, man. But
Yeah,
have a great day. I know it's
you too,
towards the
man.
evening on your side of the world.
Yeah,
So all right, man. Well, we'll wrap this one up. Thanks again. And
awesome.
have a good one, brother.
Cheers, dude. Have a good one, man. Bye.
Later. Peace.